This is the Acura MDX Crystal Black Pearl with a V6 engine, 290 horsepower, and currently gets about 18 miles to the gallon in the city.
Hi, I'm Northwestern head football coach Pat Fitzgerald.
And I'm head men's basketball coach Chris Collins, and this is Coaches in Cars Getting Coffee.
Chris, you know neither of us have time to get coffee. We've got to get back to the office.
Are you a big nap guy on game day? Can you?
It's just, so you guys play so many more night
you play
games.
in the day, so like
a later game, I'll go for a jog and then come back and, you know, take just a little 20-minute power nap. And I usually feel pretty refreshed then. I can't say that I get in a deep sleep because my mind is going through what we're going to be doing and trying to predict what might happen and look over again our game plan one more time. And what our thought process is and all that. I couldn't tell you one of Coach Barnett's pregame speeches.
no, you're just
As a player, so I'm very conscious of that. I know, you know, there might be 2 or 3 things I need to remind the guys of, and that might be too much.
It's funny you say that. I always find myself in coaching when coming up, like referring back to the stuff I hated when I was a player that I just won't do.
Yeah, right.
Guys.
Right.
One of my biggest pet peeves was when, like, in practice, you'd get warmed up and they get you fired up, and then the coach would talk for like 10 minutes and you'd cool down. And
Right.
Then they'd try to crank it back up.
Right, exactly.
You know, on your call, and then so it's funny little things like your pet peeves or things you couldn't stand as a player, how you kind of work that into your own coaching style.
Yeah, there's no doubt that I think when you're growing up, you learn in this profession, you learn more what you're not going to do than what you will do.
It's true.
And then you go out and you experience and you go, you know what, I see why he did that now. You know, oh, now I get it a little bit better. And Coach Walker, Coach Barnett, you know, Coach Vanderlyn, they all said the same thing. You'll get it a little bit more when you sit in this chair. You know, and until you sit in this chair, you just really won't get it.
We're in an amazing profession because no matter what, everybody's got a coach inside them. So
Absolutely, and everybody's played both our games.
So
somebody's played either flag football
you
or
should
shot
have done
hoops.
this, you should have done that, and you're probably right in a lot of instances. But it's no one's more critical of ourselves than we are.
Right.
You know, you're replaying the game in your head and every play and every decision, and should I have done this? Or that's just the nature of the beast. But it also makes it fun.
Yeah, like we play in the Outback Bowl and we lost our kicker, and our backup kicker hadn't kicked in a game before, and I call a trick play to try to win the game, and we get stuffed about a half yard short. I didn't sleep for 3 days.
And it's funny, players are a lot more resilient than coaches are.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't mean they don't care, but, you know, they'll be mad the night of the game, and then they'll get some sleep, and they'll wake up, and they usually don't hang on to things that long.
Well, I think I think it's also a generational thing. Back when we played, if you lost the game, I mean, it ate at you.
Oh.
And, you know, your coaches wouldn't let you talk, and you couldn't smile for a week. And you got to let everybody, you know, the grieving process or whatever, everybody does it a little bit differently. And I think the way I do it is, you know, like, for example, now, you know, I'll get home, especially home games, after home games, you know, try to spend as much time as I can with family, but I'm not watching the game until after I put the boys to bed.
Right, like decompress.
Yeah, and then I'll watch the game, and, you know, Stacy usually falls asleep as I'm watching the game, and I'll wake her up, you know,
Right.
when I'm making my notes, and you know, more times than not, I'm mad at myself. If I'm only evaluated on 12 days in the fall, it's a pretty
Shallow life.
That's not why I got into this. You know, it's a big part of what we do. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I get all that, and the expectation that goes along with it, and that's fun. I mean, that's where we still get that competitive, right? That juice that we get to go out there and compete. But it's so much bigger than that I think a lot of people don't see. It's all the pieces of the puzzle, all those moving parts. When you're emotionally and physically spent and you're victorious in the locker room, I'm not sure there's a better feeling than that.
Right, that's true.
You know, and then you take a shower and you put your suit back on and you go, all right, let's go do it again.
Right.
It's,
to me, one of the coolest things, and most of the times it's sad because at the end there's only one champion, but you know you've had a good group when you play that last game, and you know you walk into that locker room and everybody in that place is emotional, you know, because they gave everything of themselves.
Yeah,
and
right.
and that's kind of when you know it's been a good group.